I
need to mute it too.
I'm getting confused.
I'm exhausted now. This is horrible. Doing podcasts is like, yeah. Anyway, welcome to the Gamification podcast. It's only a single podcast right now. It's the first, and that's why we're having all sorts of hilarious, technical issues in Google Plus. And see, it's Google Plus because you can see, because there's a little Google Plus right near Brian's head. So first up, introductions. I am, we can see. I am Eniko. My real name is Emma, but we're gonna go by our nicknames because that's like way more fun. Actually, I should actually explain what the hell we're doing here, shouldn't I? Maybe.
Yeah, let's not worry about the introductions.
No, we need to do introductions because people need to know that we're qualified to talk about what we're talking about, even though we're not actually qualified to talk about what we're talking about.
Speak for yourself.
Well, yeah, you're professional, but we'll get to that. Okay, the Gamification Podcast is a podcast where we talk game design and industry and that sort of stuff from various different viewpoints. That's a word in English. Someone help me out here.
Yeah.
This is all yours.
This is all me. Gee, thanks. And basically, each of us, the three hosts, has a different viewpoint, and that's why you need to know who we are and what our qualifications are. So, I'm Aniko. I'm an indie game developer. I'm working on a game called Midboss, which is a roguelike, which is, stuff. I make games, and that's my qualification, which is amazing. Stop laughing at me, you bastard.
Thank you.
Then there's Greymark, who is on screen now. You can introduce yourself if you like.
Sure. I'm not sure how the sound is. The sound coming through okay? You know?
Yeah.
Sounds all right.
Fine on my end.
Well, I used to do map making in various games in the past, and got very interested in making small games when I was about maybe 10 years ago, and recently got more into programming, and so I'm trying my hand at making actual full games instead of just modding and making maps. So that's kind of where I am. I'm relatively new.
You are making a game as well right now. I had footage, but apparently my video thing doesn't want to play it now. Which is a bit unfortunate.
Oh, you can't toss it over there on the thing on the side?
No, because it's not loading in my media player, even though it was loading before. So that's the thing. Probably because this thing is encoding at the same time, so there. Hang on, I can fix that. You keep talking about your game. I'm gonna do stuff.
All right, well, it's inspired by the early Ultimas, which are something from the late 80s, I guess, and early 90s. And I'm taking elements of that
it's
sort
saved.
of early...
This is interesting.
What are you looking at?
I'm playing your game, but it's saved from when I died. This is hilarious. You guys need to see this. Hang on.
You have to delete the save files to start over again.
Well, obviously, that's how that works.
Yeah.
Don't capture the mouse cursor. Oh, capture the mouse cursor. Oh, that's not right. That's wrong.
There's a screen share button on Google Plus you can use, I think.
Yeah, but dude, who's operating the stream? Me or you? Just saying.
You have to delete the contents of the save directory. I think if you delete the save directory itself, it'll probably not be happy.
Oh, your game crashed. How do you? Oh, okay. So I'll delete that and I'll run this and then it died again.
Did
Oh,
you
because-
actually delete the?
Yeah,
Did you
because
delete the directory?
yeah,
Is that what you did?
yeah.
Yeah, just created a directory called save. Should be fine.
Okay, okay. So let's try this again. That's still not doing it. Jesus, this is like the worst podcast ever.
It's the first one. We're allowed to screw up.
Oh, that's the wrong thing. Oh my god. All I want to do is do a podcast and, is that it? Is this it? No, that's not it. Just keep talking about stuff while I figure this out.
All right. Well, I started working on that game, I guess, a year ago, and then I left it on the shelf for a long time, and I started actually working on it again maybe a month ago,
Okay, there we go.
a little bit at a time. But it's really in early stages. Obviously, it's. Oh, look, there she goes. I'm using the graphics from Ultima 5 from the Commodore 64 as just
Greg blocking me.
For now. But it'll have the ability to create different texture packs sometime later, so then it'll have totally its own graphics.
So you can build stuff, you can build cobblestone shacks, and that's a thing. What? Oh.
So at some point, how it's going to work is you'll be able to break those stones that are hanging around, and you'll be able to use them to build with.
And my dudes are like totally murdering that rat.
Yeah, and they fight by themselves. And so the idea will be that you're able to select the AI at some point and give them different ways of behaving. So, and hopefully you'll be able to mix and match them at some point. So this is all, like, the game is mainly, for me, it's partially an exercise in world generation and also an exercise in AI scripting and stuff.
So this is just to prove that you do, in fact, have some game design experience.
Well, most of my experience comes from modding and doing level design in other games. My motivation for this game is to actually have my own game to work with instead of always working with other people's games, which is kind of, I think, the next step, for me anyway.
Greg's dead. I think that's a good place to stop. Poor Greg. Okay, so that's Brian, or Greymark. We're using Nick's. I get so confused. Okay, so we're switching to the Doctor, aka John.
Oh,
you're live now. Your face is visible on the internets.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I have
Really
the
appreciate
power.
it. Heads up.
Yeah. So your qualifications are?
I've been in QA for what, 2 or 3 years. Bailed out last year.
Yeah, to a much more better job.
Yes, because in a completely unrelated industry, thank God.
Yeah, and now you're doing QA for me in your spare time.
Yes.
Which means you don't have to do a whole lot, because...
Right, because there's nothing yet.
My games don't have bugs.
Well, they did it first.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'm tired of you gloating, so I'm going to make better games. So actually, of the three of us, like, I'm the only one who has like a professional game making career as an aspiration, but you're the only one who's actually worked professionally in the actual industry.
Yep.
So that qualifies
So
you
hopefully
to
we can
say
fix that.
stuff. Yeah, hopefully. So that's introductions. I keep losing my windows because there's like 5 million ones open. Okay, we've switched back to Brian now, so you're safe again.
Good.
Yeah, enjoy that
I
drink.
have my sound-only window.
So what we're going to do is whenever we run this podcast, which may be like once a week or once a month, whatever we can make work, actually. We're going to pick some various topics and we're going to discuss them among the three of us, hopefully. And this week I figured that me being, the one who's giving this some kind of direction, I'd start off with my topic, which is a game called Paranautical Activity. This is actually, I was going to do it on something else, but this is recent news that came out today. They're an indie team, and they made a Greenlight page like months ago, and it was left to collect dust, and they got a publishing deal with Adult Swim, and Adult Swim was like, yeah, we're going to get you on Steam, it's no problem, whatever, because they're like an actual publisher, so they can just go to Steam and be like, yeah, we want this game on Steam. And apparently Steam said, and I quote, I can't actually see it now. Oh yeah, there it is. Valve didn't want to send the message that indies can seek out publishers to bypass Steam Greenlight. So it's like, no, you're cheating, so we can't let you on Steam, even though you're not actually indie anymore, because you have a publisher. So that's what I want to talk about, because it's fucking ridiculous. And also because I don't actually like Steam Greenlight. So you guys form an opinion about that while I put on some footage of this game.
And we're starting with me?
Whichever, just discuss.
All right, well, I think it's, by the look of things, I'm not quite sure, but I think I heard that Gabe Newell said that Greenlight is kind of a failed experiment, and that it's just sort of this thing that's remained in place because
they have it and it's there to stay now.
And it's a filter, and that's just about it.
That's my problem, though.
It's not an ideal filter.
That's my problem with the entire Steam Greenlight concept. You can ask John about this. What did I say before Greenlight came out?
I don't remember, actually. It's been a long time.
You sound like me.
This sounds like a terrible idea, and it's going to fail. And then when it came out, it was a terrible idea. Yeah, everyone said it. It was a terrible idea, and it failed because it got flooded with crap. It got flooded with projects that weren't even submitted by the actual people doing the project. And then they added the fee. But that's not even my problem that it was like a mess. My problem is it's not about the games. It's a popularity contest. It's all about who can whore themselves out to the audience most. Right?
This is true. Yeah.
Hang on, I'm just fixing this. So, I mean, but the comment that they left, which, we don't want indies to skip queue or something by getting a publisher. I mean, isn't that what getting a publisher is for getting published?
I think their point was that that's not what Greenlight is for or something. Like if you sign up for Greenlight, then they want people to think that they have an equal chance or something in Greenlight. I think that.
But you do have an equal.
That's what they're saying, but it's a bit bizarre.
You do have an equal chance. The thing about them getting the publisher has nothing to do with Greenlight, even if they have a Greenlight page.
Yes, but I can see where he's going with this.
I can't. I think it's ridiculous.
Well, what I meant by that, and I'm not sure if that's what they're thinking, but that as an indie developer, you ought to be able to think that if you're going for the green light, that what you're doing is you just all you have to do is go out there and find people who like your game, and that will support you through green light. But if you instead use that time to go and search out a publisher instead of trying to promote your game directly to the public, then all the indie developers are going to think that they got to go look for publishers instead of promoting their game independently.
Yeah, but all the indie developers already know that you can get on Steam by getting a publisher. Greenlight is for people who, are not really looking for a publisher actively, or who have not found a publisher yet because it's too small or too risky or whatever. So they started on Greenlight, and then they got an opportunity to get a deal with, Adult Swim. And obviously they went for it because it can get their game on Steam and it'll get them sold. Because let's face it, Steam is by far the biggest online, digital distribution platform. I mean, there's Good Old Games and there's Desura. Is Stardock still a thing?
No, they got taken over by GameStop.
Okay, because I only recently signed up for Stardock, but that was because of Fallen Enchantress, which is a good game, by the way. But yeah, you want to be on Steam, so they had a chance to get onto Steam and they took it. And I don't think you can link that they had a Greenlight page that they didn't do anything with to them getting a publisher. I mean, what's one? I see a comment in an IC channel line. Starduck is Starduck. It's like a duck. It quacks. Stardock is still around, apparently. I have no idea.
Yes, but their digital distribution platform is gone.
Oh yeah, okay. That clears that up. So I don't know. I just don't think that you can really, say that there's any relation between them having a Greenlight page and them finding a publisher. It's not like they got the publisher to skip the Greenlight queue. They weren't doing anything on Greenlight. One has nothing to do with the other.
I actually just watched the video that they posted up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's actually what's playing in the background.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not paying attention to that.
Well, it has no sound, so whatever. Carry on.
They said they were looking for a publisher because Greenlight wasn't working out, I think. Hold on, I may have to replay it. I may be misquoting. But regardless, they reached out to Adult Swim.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. They got picked up.
Yeah, by a publisher.
After not touching their Greenlight page for months.
Yeah.
Because, obviously it wasn't good enough to, make it just on Greenlight.
Well, Greenlight itself is terrible. I mean, I was talking to developers online on Twitter about this, and they basically said it makes you feel bad. The comments are horrible, and, it actually leads to being stalked by negative people, that sort of thing. So I can see why they didn't want to do anything with the Greenlight page.
Right, but they should have removed it first.
I guess that would have been smart. I guess there is a little bit of having your cake and eating it too in it. But on the other hand, it's ridiculous that, Valve is saying no indies have to go through Greenlight, which is ridiculous. Because there have been indies, even after Greenlight, that didn't go through Greenlight, which wound up on Steam. Conversely, there's, I totally lost my train of thought there. But yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you have a publisher, like indie means independently published. I mean, it means you're independent. But if you get a publisher, then you're, by definition, no longer indie anymore. So really, what Valve should have said is, okay, remove the Greenlight page, or we'll remove it for you, and sure, we'll put it on Steam published under Adult Swim.
However, I think if they had done that, it would have caused some sort of backlash.
What, from the rest of the indie community?
Yes.
What would they say?
Think about it. They took their Greenlight project, pitched it to a publisher, and just completely skipped Greenlight altogether.
Yeah, because that's what you do when you get a publisher.
Right, but they're using Greenlight for something other than promoting to the community.
But
They're not
Greenlight is not a thing. If I put mid-boss on Greenlight, then the value is not in my Greenlight entry, it's in my bloody game. And if a publisher thinks my game is good enough to publish, then it should be good enough to put on Steam. It has nothing to do with Greenlight.
It does have nothing to do with Greenlight, but the fact that it's on Greenlight is the point.
I just don't... Brian, do you want to weigh in?
Well, actually, I had a thought a minute ago, but I sort of forgot what it was. But my problem with the whole thing, actually, I've become distracted by the thought of how problematic it really is for indie developers that this is such a crucial channel for getting your game out there, and it makes me worry about kind of the hoops you have to jump through in order to actually feel like you're going to be successful. That was the thing that I was left with, was a little bit of concern over that, as opposed to this particular case, which sounds like a special case.
Well, yeah, but it's like a symptom of a bigger problem, I think, because indies have been pretty unhappy with Greenlight for a long time, and hell, Valve is unhappy with the way Greenlight works, so nobody's actually happy. And I think this just reinforces it. I think if you have a publishing deal, then Greenlight should just not be affected. Your Greenlight page should just be nuked, and then everyone should move on.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. I don't really see a problem there. I guess the question one of the things about it that I don't understand is does a game bypassing Greenlight and getting a publisher, does it actually in any way affect other indie developers? Do they lose an opportunity as a result?
I think if anything, there's less competition. So,
well,
I mean, the thing is, why? That's what I don't understand from John's statement either. It's like, oh, hi, you're just kind of wandering away from the camera. Okay, that's fine. Back to Brian.
Oh no, I'm here. I'm just.
You have to be prepared for the camera being back on you at some point.
Well,
that's how this works.
You need to tell me that.
Okay, but yeah, that's what Brian is saying is basically what my point is too. If I never put Mid-Boss on Greenlight and I find a publisher and get on Steam, how does that affect other indies less than if I get a Greenlight and then I find a publisher?
The idea is by joining Greenlight, you've put your game out to the masses for promotion.
Yeah, but nobody's promoting it for you. You have to do all the promotion yourself.
Right. And I'm just saying I can see how it could be thought of as cheating.
Yeah, but this isn't a playground. It's not like, oh, you cheated, you didn't play by the rules, so you can't, have the ball and be in the ball game.
Wait a minute. I'm going to look up the terms here for Greenlight.
Oh, you think it's a terms of service?
I wonder, when you say cheating, though, who's losing an opportunity?
Yeah,
that's what I want to know, because I actually don't understand how, who's losing.
If anything, by having less competition, there's more chances of you actually being greenlit, the way I see it. But the whole greenlit concept is broken from the start because it has nothing to do with a good game. It has all to do about getting people to click the I would buy this button even if they would never buy it. It has nothing to do with the quality of your game, which is why the system was made in the first place. So the entire system is wrong. And the way Valve is handling it is wrong, and this instance is wrong. So it's just wrong.
It's like crowdsourcing Metacritic.
Oh, don't get me started on fucking Metacritic. So I'm very passionate about this, as you might be able to tell. I'm not sure.
I don't see anything about terms of service here, which is kind of depressing.
But you agree that Greenlight is a pile of...
Oh, it's a bad idea.
Yeah. It's terrible. It doesn't work. It has nothing to do with quality of games.
However, it can be improved.
Can it? Really?
It can be saved.
Can it really?
Yes.
I disagree, but okay. And I don't think Valve is even doing anything with it anymore.
Well, they're still greenlighting games.
Well, yeah. They kind of have to, because they're making people pay them to be on Greenlight and do their own marketing. That's the issue. Why, if okay, I'm going to talk from my reasoning here. I was going to get onto Greenlight because I'm like, okay, it's $60. I can spare $60 because I have money. But if Greenlight may cost me a publishing deal that gets me onto Steam, and I'm paying Valve $60 for the privilege of doing all my own marketing, what's in it for me to be on Greenlight?
That's the thing, it's a gamble. It's a very bad gamble.
Yeah, so don't get on Greenlight. And then if you get a publisher, you get on Steam.
See, there you go.
Yeah. So, well, that's what people are doing now. They're pulling their Greenlight pages because it's a liability. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe the more serious developers should pull their Greenlight pages and pursue other avenues of getting onto Steam, while the really, really tiny garage, you know, some kid who's like 16 and makes a game in his garage, you know, and he thinks it's bad, but he has $60 to spare. He should be on Greenlight or something. Maybe that's what it should be for.
But think about how hard it is to actually get a publisher. This is a very rare... It's an edge case.
Well, true. That's definitely true.
You have a better chance of being greenlit than you do of actually getting a publisher.
Well, that's debatable. I'm not sure if that's actually true. If I put Mid-Boss on Greenlight, it's never going to get greened because it's a roguelike, which is a very niche kind of game.
Right, but again, how many games do they greenlight a month?
Like 10, maybe.
Okay, so you have a very, very small chance.
I think you need like 40,000 upvotes to get greenlit or something crazy like that. That's a lot of upvotes.
It is.
You wanted to say something, Brian?
No, I just said wow.
Oh, okay. So I don't actually. I just think that it's being pedantic to be like, you have this Greenlight page, so we can't let you on Steam because you have to play by the rules. I mean, what if they just said, okay, we'll pull the Greenlight page now? Can we get on Steam? What would they have said?
That's a good point.
Or in my case, what if I find a publisher by some kind of freak miracle for Mid-Boss and I want to get on Steam? Is Steam going to tell me, no, you're an indie, so you need to go through Greenlight? And
I don't think that's going to be the case.
And then where do you draw the lines in the sand? I just think it's a very, very weird thing, and it's going to cause a lot of fallout for Steam, which maybe is a good thing. Maybe Steam needs to be less big. Because I've heard other indie developers talking about, like, you know, being on Steam is like the bulk of their sales, and all the other services is like a mere fraction of what they can get from Steam. So it really seems like, as an indie, unless you're following Notch's example and get just as ridiculously successful, then you're going to need to be on Steam. You're going to want to be on Steam, and maybe that's not so good. Anyone?
I think you have a better chance of winning the lottery than being able to actually accomplish what Notch did in the sense of being that lucky. And I'm going to use the word luck specifically here.
Yeah, there was definitely an element of luck in Minecraft, but we're not talking about Minecraft, so...
Yeah, I'm just talking about, exceptional cases and the degree of possibility of that actually happening.
Okay,
it's very low.
This is interesting. I just came across something on their page here. It says, do we have to be exclusive to Steam? No.
Whose page?
On Greenlight.
Okay, so it's not an exclusive thing.
Right.
But then again, it is their own platform, so if they want to make Greenlight exclusive for their own platform, that's what they can do.
Well, no, they're saying that if you get greenlit,
Yeah.
you don't have to be exclusive to Steam.
Yeah.
So what they're doing here is a contradiction.
How I don't follow. Walk me through the logic.
To be honest, I don't think there is any, but...
Well, if you don't need to be exclusive to Steam, then what's the problem with going off and getting a publisher?
That's the point.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's no problem, but they didn't say you can't have a publisher. They just said you can't get on Steam through a publisher if you have Greenlight. Which is still ridiculous. I still do not see that logic. I'm with Brian here and saying, like, they're not hurting anybody by skipping the queue, which they're not, because if you skip the queue, then you wouldn't be owing your publisher like a cut of your income. That's the thing. They made a tactical trade-in, basically. They were like, okay, we're not going to get on Steam, but you're going to get us on Steam, so we're going to give you some of our revenue. That's how it works. I don't know. I think we're getting kind of to the end of this discussion.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, going in circles. Okay, so that was my subject. Who wants to go next?
Well, I'll go next, I guess, because it segues in some sense into my topic, which is just around sort of. I'd like to frame my topic around monetization, in a sense, because it is about it's about how you get value from the games that you make, and where the free software model, or open source, if you want to call it that, model of development can be applied to games as well. There are already people making free games.
I'm supposed to ask now, do you mean free as in beer? But I never understood what that means.
It means free as in that the freedom specifically refers to the your ability to change it and to redistribute it, essentially. That's the essence of the freedom, is that it has its own freedom that's carried with it. So you can't just steal somebody's thing and say, oh, this is mine, you can't do anything with it anymore, or that sort of thing. It's more about preserving the openness, I guess.
Okay, so free as in freedom means that you preserve that it's free, and free as in beer is like, I take your beer and I drink it and now it's mine.
Yeah, it's not about monetization in that sense. It's about it's about the ability to reuse it and to pass on that ability to reuse it. And I think today it's getting kind of interesting because we have so many tools for reverse engineering, even closed source things, that a lot of code these days is open source anyway, and it just becomes a matter of whose right it is to actually sell it. But so many people are finding different methods for making money, like through ads and
Mm-hmm.
and other whether it's DRM. There's all this struggle these days to find alternatives to selling things off the shelf, and some of it is just around having an orbiting media thing going on. At the same time, the other angle that I look at this from is also from the history of people doing modding in their free time, and how.
Well, modders don't have any rights, really. They're actually kind of infringing.
That leads to my question at this point that I have generally about whether, why it isn't more common that whole huge games just appear out of nowhere from a bunch of modders coming together and just creating something. Why do modders always revolve around some game that was created from a proprietary origin instead of creating something completely on their own? How long?
I don't think they have the ability to code engines and stuff like that. Most modders, I don't think they have that skill set.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, in a sense, if that, and that's partly a question, but also part of my topic in a sense is that going to start happening more? And if it does start happening, is there a way that can be monetized? That's where I'm going with this.
What do you mean monetized?
Well, people are making money these days through, Let's Players are making a lot of money just through doing that sort of thing, and developers are able to create attention for themselves, perhaps. I'm not too sure about that through
kind of difficult, but yeah.
So, what's that? So that's what I guess I'm sort of wondering, actually, in a sense, and I'm not sure if anybody's succeeding or if you've heard of anyone, but if just about in general about whether there will be alternatives that where a free software project can be able that people can actually make money using them. Is there some way that either of you can think of that could start to happen at all?
I'm not sure what you're asking, actually.
Neither am I.
I'm asking, other than keeping your code secret and selling the just the binaries to people to play, is it possible to make it something that everybody can look at and see, but you can still make money using it?
You mean like Unity?
Sorry?
You mean like Unity?
Sorry.
No, I think he's referring to releasing your game for free and still making money off of it.
Well, that's a freemium model, isn't it? Like ad revenue based. Or a donation based model like Dwarf Fortress. Is that what you mean? Like Dwarf Fortress, is that a good example?
I'm not sure what their revenue model is, actually. So
they don't really have one. I think it's completely donation driven.
Oh, okay.
He just made a game and people give him money for it, but they don't have to. It's kind of the same that you see in indie bundles, I guess, with the pay what you want stuff. Like you could pay virtually nothing and get it for free. Or is that not what you mean?
Well, I was just curious to know if you thought of other ideas for alternatives. And part of the reason I'm saying that is because during the rant about
Greenlight.
What was the name of it? Paranormal. To give you the name.
Paranormal activity.
Paranormal activity.
Yeah, that's a hard one to remember for me. He was talking about how aggravating it is to have this one way of going through to publishers to sell games, and I'm just thinking, well, if it's an underlying problem with the system, well, maybe there's a more modern way of approaching monetization that involves looking at other things than just simply selling the game to people. Like maybe there's other ways to.
Well, there's, like I said, you can do a donation-based thing, but for most people, that's just not going to cut it. And you could do a freemium thing, but that is limited to a certain subsection of games, like they call them cow clickers, I guess. Yeah, very apt name. But other than that, I don't really see how. I mean, you could sell your game and, find different means of marketing, because it's a question not of generating revenue, it's a question of marketing. If your game is on Steam, it's highly visible, especially since Steam is a very exclusive kind of marketplace. If your game is on Steam, then more and more people are going to buy it. So what you could do if you're trying to, circumvent that is go through Let's Players, I guess. Like, I think Let's Players are responsible for a great deal of indie game success. Like Total Biscuit, I think Mike, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Mike Bithell, who did Thomas Was Alone. He ascribed a large portion of his success to, Let's Player coverage of his game. And I think that's a more realistic way than finding alternative ways to generate revenue for a cheap game, because the problem really is exposure, and exposure is so hard to get.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about licenses and GPL and stuff. So this is a bit of a surprise.
You want me to talk about?
Yes, because I hate the GPL, but I'm trying to, restrain myself.
Well, I've been waiting all week to hear what you have to say about the GPL, so you better tell me.
Well, you could have just led with, GPL. Fire away. As someone who is like a single person making games, I don't like the GPL. I like the lesser GPL.
The LGPL, yeah.
Yeah, which lets you, for those of you who don't know what this is about license for free software or open source software. Free as in freedom, free not as in beer, I guess. Did I get that right?
Free as in speech.
Free as in speech, yeah, that's it.
There you go, that's the one.
So my problem with the GPL is you make something free, and then by making a GPL, you make everything that uses it free, but you're actually taking away freedom, because people like me need free libraries and free stuff so we can make a game that we can sell. But if I have to open source all my code, that's more difficult. I'm not going to say it's impossible to make a commercial GPL game, but it's certainly much, much more difficult.
What do you think would happen? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask, just as a thought experiment, what would happen if somebody made their code base free and then sold their game? Like, how does that work? Can you actually, because it just seems bizarre to me that so often games are able to be reverse engineered, but it doesn't matter. I don't quite understand.
Well, there's the incident with Aquaria. I think it's called Aquaria, that one game. I can't remember.
This is the first I've heard of it.
I think, isn't it made by Wolfire Games? Or is that a different game?
No, they made something else.
Okay, I'm getting my games mixed up then.
I think they made Lugaru.
Oh yeah, maybe it was Lugaru HD, actually. Either way, they made a game that was commercial and they open sourced it. And the assets, so like the levels and the art and stuff, and the sounds were not open source. but they still had to deal with people, compiling their game and putting it on app stores and generating revenue, even if it's like only for a few days before they get kicked off. And that's revenue that's lost for the actual developer. So there is a definite risk. You can do an open source game and, make it still commercial because your assets and your levels and stuff don't fall under the GPL license. But it opens you up to risks because it's one thing to reverse engineer a game. It's quite another to, run a makefile and upload someone else's property to an app store and make money off it. And I think that's the problem. Like, I understand the GPL is to, stop it from getting taken over by big evil corporations who monetize it and use it for themselves and don't give back. But I think when it hurts the little people, and I don't like it. I think if you're gonna do something for free, like a free library, you should man up and make it truly free and publish it on an MIT license, which basically says do whatever the hell you want with it. That's what I think. And I do publish all my open source code that I do publish, which is admittedly not a whole lot, is under the MIT license or something similar.
Right, but I think it only says that you have to open source your changes.
No, I think it's like viral, so what it's linked to becomes completely under the GPL. And that's what a lot of people find objectionable, including me.
The common complaint that I hear is that if you use if you want to use a library, like say, what was the example? Actually, there was a specific example. Print line or some read line. Yeah, that's the one. If you like in Python in the Mac, apparently read line doesn't exist because of problems with it being a GPL licensed library or something. So they would have to actually rewrite the library in order to be able to not have to republish what, like the whole operating system or something.
Yeah, that's the kind of ridiculousness that it creates. But that's why they did admittedly create the lesser GPL license, which says basically you can use it, but you can't change it. Well, you can change it, but then you have to, publish the changes. And if you incorporate parts of the code in your code, then you need to actually, your entire code is suddenly open sourced. But I just think, why not MIT? I think the good people, like you said, there's people reverse engineering games, and there's no licenses for that. That's practically, illegal. I mean, I finger quotes, but it's not something that's actually allowed. It's something that's condoned. And if people are going to do that anyway, then people are going to keep developing your open source library. They're going to give back at some point, I think.
Yeah.
Anyone?
Well, these days it is becoming easier, of course, to even make games. I think it's becoming easier. I think it's safe to say that at least in terms of decades, if not years,
it's easier.
Things have become a lot easier.
I mean, I've been making games.
I'm just wondering how long it's going to take before we reach a point where things are so easy that
anyone can do it.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but anybody who really sort of puts in a few months or something and actually tries to learn the stuff and gets to a point and perhaps has at least an understanding of what they're trying to accomplish, that they'll be able to to just put something together. So the ideas of the games are more important than the actual implementations. In that case, then the code becomes much less relevant. The art assets, as you said before, and models and so forth become much more precious because actually I think today indie developers have the hardest time finding art assets. It's not the code that's actually the issue.
I think a lot of indie programmers suffer that problem. I'm one of the lucky few who can program and do her own art, so that's kind of neat. But yeah, it is really hard to find, suitable art. But then there's the entire retro pixel art thing. So, the art for your game is actually quite, acceptable in that sort of style. But I think there's already like stuff like that going on. I mean, with stuff like Unity, which is getting so big now, which also is not one of my favorite things ever, but whatever. That's like a big free engine. It's not open source exactly, but still, it's pretty standardized, and I get the feeling that you can do a lot with it very easily. I haven't actually looked at it myself, but I think that makes it easier to translate ideas. Certainly when I started, which was like 15 years ago, I mean, I was using Visual Basic 6, which is admittedly not the best language, but C++ was the only alternative, and DirectX, which still had like Direct Draw, which had like no documentation that was worth anything, and Direct 3D was even worse, and it had no font. Like in your game, you have text. If you wanted to have text in a Direct Draw game, it was like I actually did it, and you'd have to go through the Windows API, and you would get like segfaults that would blue screen your entire operating system if you did it wrong.
Wow.
And yeah, basically I crashed my computer like 100 times trying to get font rendering working in one of my old games like 15 years ago. So the things have improved significantly. So yeah, things have improved, and I do think that's going to go that way, that it's going to get easier and easier. I mean, there's also stuff like Game Maker, and John has some experience with like the UDK.
Not much, though.
Well, a little bit more than me anyway. How does that work anyway? Is that like completely free now?
Something like that.
They probably want money if you start making money or something.
Basically, yeah.
There is actually,
Past a certain threshold, they actually demand that you get a license.
Okay. There is actually modded games now that are like selling commercially. There's one that the Yogscast is doing a let's play of now. Hannah, I think it's Cry of Fear. That's apparently Half-Life 2 mod, and I don't know if it's actually a commercial game though.
It was free, so.
It's free. Okay, so that's sad.
Yeah, I think a lot of offshoots of Half-Life started as mods. Counter-Strike was a mod, wasn't it?
Yep.
And actually, I think Portal was developed by a bunch of university students as a project, and then it was taken on as a full game. Wasn't it? Isn't that the history there?
Yeah, it was their college project.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we're kind of getting to the end of this subject as well. Unless anyone wants to add anything.
Nope.
I'm just gonna let some Cry of Fear run in the background so people have something to look at. So John, you're up.
I got nothing.
You got nothing. So we don't actually have a third subject.
Nothing has been done to death anyway.
Oh, fine. Do whatever. Even if it's like the Xbox One. Everyone's talking about the Xbox One.
Oh God! Don't get
Or
me started
used
on
games.
that
Let's do used games because nobody's talked about used games yet.
Oh Christ! That's another one that you don't want to get me started on.
Oh, this is good. I like passion. So fire away, whichever you like more, Xbox One or used games.
They both kind of go hand in hand when you think about it.
Well, yeah, they kind of do. I have one comment on the Xbox One used games thing, which I don't think has been discussed enough. My fear is that if you share an Xbox One in the household, that the game is going to be locked as one live account, and that, like, say me and you are sharing a household and we have one Xbox One. There's 2 ones in that. It's like an Xbox 2. Anyway, we have one Xbox, and you buy a game, and at some point I'm like, oh, it looks like a decent game, even though normally I think all the games that you play are shit. And
Hey.
no, we just don't quite have the same taste in games. You like Dark Souls, and I like
Nothing.
I like nothing. I don't play games, I just make them. Anyway, I want to play it, and I can't because it's locked to your account, and you know that I shouldn't be playing your account because we've already had that issue with the Xbox 360 where even your saved games are locked to your account. So if someone moves out, you're suddenly shit out of luck. Like, your save games are on someone else's account, so you can't actually use them anymore on your own account. So you're not supposed to do that, so the only recourse I have is to pay the used game fee to be able to play a game that we own on our system. That's my fear.
I think they're going to go the same way they went with the current system.
So you mean it's locked up to the machine, not to the account?
Where it's locked to both.
Okay, so you can take your account to a different machine and install and play it there, and I can play it on our machine, but I can't play it on a different machine.
Right.
That makes sense. But are they actually going to do it?
No idea. No one knows anything yet.
Anyway, that was just my thought, but
they're shooting themselves in the foot with this.
Well, everyone seems to agree on that much.
Yeah, I can't say I have a dissenting opinion here.
No, but preaching to the choir is fun too. Plus, not everyone agrees on used games. Some people say if there's no used games, then game prices will go down. Others dissent and say, if there are no more used games, then the publishers have too much power.
Right, they have free reign.
That's kind of the way I'm leaning to.
Because they're used to making X amount of money per game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, they cut the price. Let's just go with the fantasy utopia thing, where they say, okay, there's no more used games, so we'll cut the price on something a little more reasonable.
Yeah, they're not going to do it, but sure.
But let's just roll with it.
So skeptical.
Whoever's actually selling that game is going to get an even lower cut of that than they're getting now. Because the publishers are used to getting, this enormous cut of each sale.
Mm-hmm.
So say they cut it in half to $30. They're still used to getting 75%, I think it is. And then, the retailer gets like 10, and then the rest goes to various, middlemen.
So you mean 10% of $30 is a lot less than 10% of $60?
Exactly. So
that wouldn't be good for game stores, would it?
Exactly. And a lot of them would have to basically cut and run.
Or they'd have to like charge you $3 extra, which does seem more likely to me. Like if they were getting $6 before, now they're only getting 3, then they're just gonna charge us the extra 3, but then the game has gone down from 60 to 33. Was that not how it works?
But the publisher sets a recommended retail price. And typically they follow that. Typically.
Okay, so basically if you add the extra 3, then someone's going to undercut you and you're not going to sell anything.
Right. However, you got to remember that, say GameStop, for example, a lot of their revenue, I don't have exact numbers, but a lot of that is from their used games.
Yeah, I've heard this too. I think it was on the Gymquisition. He said that on a new game they get like a few bucks, and even on a system they get like $10 or something. I'm not sure what the veracity of those statements is, but I can't confirm it. But if that's true, then I can see why they would be going to used games. Because they're taking a huge chunk of the risk, and publishers are just kind of, taking most of the money. Which is what they do. They take most of the money from the devs, and they take most of the money from the brick and mortar stores.
Right.
So basically more self-publishing. But you can't do that on a console because you have to sell through a brick and mortar store.
Or through their digital whatever.
Which is always crap.
Yep.
Let's face it. I mean, Xbox Live Indie Games was just a complete joke. It never even got to the Netherlands. Like, my brother made an Xbox Live Indie game and I couldn't play it because we didn't get the channel. So it's ridiculous.
I didn't even see it up on the marketplace, I think, because I remember when you told me about it.
Didn't you buy it? I thought you didn't like it.
I didn't actually end up buying it, but I didn't see it on there either.
Okay, that's weird. Maybe that's why you never got any sales.
Well, getting seen on there is impossible.
Yeah. Well, that was the other problem. It's the same problem Greenlight has, that, it just gets flooded with crap. But apparently, Microsoft is spending like $1 billion on getting like exclusives and new franchises on the Xbox One. So they might actually get away with what they're doing if the games are good enough. Because face it, if the games are good enough, then people are going to buy it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or if enough people own an Xbox.
That too, because if people own the Xbox, then developers are going to make games for the Xbox, and then more people are going to want an Xbox, which means that all the developers go to the Xbox, etc., etc., etc.
I'm just hoping the backlash is enough to sink this thing.
Well, yeah, but you're kind of gleefully awaiting the new video games industry crash. Well, a lot of people are lately.
5 years.
I mean, I have seen a lot of like unhappiness with the current state of the industry, and I'm not sure if I'm just more in touch with an increasingly older and more bitter community, or if it's actually a quality thing.
It feels to me, I don't have a very deep understanding of what's going on in the community, but it just seems to me like, in general, there's a lot of oversaturated markets everywhere you look, and this is just another one of them. This is another thing where everybody's, the pie is being cut into 10,000 pieces, and everybody wants a little bit of it, and so you're trying to always sell things to sell a tiny piece of it to a lot of different people. I don't know. I'm not saying that well, but when it comes to marketing, sorry, I think I lost the thread on that.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I was trying to say.
I can't remember what I was going to say now. I do think it's like, I mean, we're all old school gamers, so I do think that there was more risk taking in older games because the formulas weren't all hashed out and known.
Actually, I remember what it was. I was going to say that at least in the past, it was a narrower market. These days, you're competing against so many different things that when you create something and put it out there, then for these games, that you got to compete with a much broader set of options.
Well, that's the thing, though. If that's true, then the indies, by all rights, should not exist. But the problem a lot of people have with the AAA industry is that all the games are the same, and I share that feeling.
Yeah.
Well, there's good reason for that.
Because of the formulas, right?
No. It's not even that. It's that they spend billions of dollars making a single game. Say, hold on, let me look through my list of games here. Say Halo 4, that costs God knows how much. And if they don't follow, the most, what's the word? The most marketable.
Yeah.
Then they're not going to make that money back.
You mean mass appeal?
Yes, that.
So you think games are being marketed too generally?
Exactly. Because of the immense cost.
Well, the immense cost is because they have such unrealistic expectations. If you look at Tomb Raider, it broke even because they expected to sell more than it sold, and it sold like, I don't know, 4.5 million or something copies.
Yep.
It's like, how can you expect that it would exceed that? How can you say, oh, our game only sold 4.5 million copies? That sucks.
They spent so much promoting this game.
Yeah, but why? Just don't.
But if they did that, they wouldn't sell anything at all.
Are you sure? Because, I don't know, people buy shit anyway. It seems to be one of the rules of the internet, to me, seems to always be like, if you make it, people will buy it.
This is true.
Maybe not a lot of people, but someone will buy it.
Yeah, I mean, look at Zynga.
Yeah, God. I'd really rather not look at Zynga.
Makes me sick too.
Yeah. But, that's why I think the indies are having such success, because they're doing niche things and they're doing unexpected things. And I don't know, it's the same thing that I have with, like, people are like, oh yeah, Skyrim. It's like, oh my God, Skyrim. And they have like a nerdgasm right there. I'm like, dude, get a room. And I played Skyrim, and it was good fun. I mean, as far as AAA games in recent history go, it was fine. But it wasn't there. It wasn't Morrowind. It wasn't Morrowind.
But it wasn't good either.
It was okay.
The combat had no impact.
No.
It was just wave your sword at something until it dies.
And, well, that's, it's a Bethesda game. What are you expecting? But if you contrast it with Morrowind, I mean, in Morrowind it was a rougher experience, but I think that made it a better experience. I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but in Skyrim, inevitably it doesn't matter where you go because most of the content is scaled to you, and that takes any sense of achievement like right out of the picture. It's not as bad as it was in Oblivion, which was retarded. It was like I explored the countryside for half an hour and found some kind of crypt, like miles from civilization, completely same loot and enemies as anywhere else. I could have just gone into the sewer right outside of town because everything was scaled. And Skyrim had the same thing. It was just, disguised more cleverly. And I think that's part of the problem. Games are getting too polished.
There's no such thing as too much polish.
Well, I mean, not polish, but like
They're oversimplified.
oversimplified. Yeah, they're overly balanced, I guess. Oversimplified, over appealing. Like, I prefer Mass Effect 1. God damn. Mass Effect 1 to Mass Effect 3, because even though the combat is way more spiky in Mass Effect 1, in Mass Effect 3, it's just too smooth. It's a chest-high wall shooter, cover-based shooter. It has no actual character.
True. I think I like the way they did it better in 2.
I can't remember what like the difference is between 2 and 3.
Not very much.
No. But yeah, Brian, would you like to weigh in on any of this?
I don't know. Are there any? Are people selling used copies of Skyrim? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Probably on consoles.
I went to GameStop a few days ago and saw, a rack of them about that long.
Why would you buy a Bethesda game on consoles where you don't have the benefit of plugins and mods? Why would you do that?
There are some people that like it that way.
I don't understand.
It has part to do with the way that people purchase, and I think that people like to purchase, like they just see the thing, the box, and that's the game for them. Maybe part of it is just like parents buying presents for their kids or something. I don't know, but I think that people probably don't think as much about what they're getting as what it looks like when they're buying it. That would explain why they're buying it for consoles. I don't know why anybody buys consoles to begin with. For myself, because I always think in terms of PCs and PC gaming, and it's hard for me to relate to.
I can definitely see that. I do the same thing. So here, have some Skyrim in the background, guys. Something to look at.
See, I think I can get behind the consoles on this one since it's. I keep doing that, I've noticed. It's a unified experience.
What does that mean?
You just put the disc in and it works. It works the same way on yours as it works on the next guy's.
Well, yeah. There's no but my game keeps crashing, even though it's fine on someone else's system.
Right, and that's the whole appeal of it.
I guess. But
because not everybody wants to go driver hunting and
Yeah, that could be kind of a pain. I mean,
you probably run into less bugs when you're not playing with mods.
That's true too.
You would think that, but actually not. I mean, you couldn't get my Pixel Crash game working, could you? On .NET, because there was just something wonky about your install that we never figured out.
I have no idea.
Yes, that's what John is talking about. And I guess I can see the appeal, but we're all the type of people who can deal with problems like that. So,
so it doesn't appeal to us.
Yeah, I guess. Are you guys seeing this video in the background? Because that's some terrible animation.
No, I'm not. Hold on.
I wonder if that's a mod. Or maybe it's because he's flying or something. Sorry, I'm just getting totally distracted here. What were we talking about? I think we've gotten totally off track.
We were talking about why people buy consoles instead of PC games. I mean, other than price, I suppose.
Oh no, that's Dawnguard content right there.
Who to what now?
You never played Dawnguard?
Oh, Dawnguard. No.
You could become a vampire lord. And that's exactly what that is.
Sounds like super exciting. And
It's not.
there's like no sarcasm in my voice there whatsoever. See, this is why I don't play games where I'm like, oh, you can become a vampire. Well, no, that's nice. But what's in it for me?
This is why I've been trying to get you to play Dark Souls.
Well, yeah, that's gonna happen eventually when I'm not like stressed out and already ready to kill people.
See, I think that's the best state of mind for it.
You just want to see me suffer.
Well, yes.
Yeah, because you're a horrible, horrible person.
Thank you.
Which is why the camera's switching back to Brian now. Hi, Brian.
Oh, hello.
You could have told me it was on me.
I'm not telling anyone anything anymore. I'm the person with the control, and that's how it's gonna be. I actually wonder how this has been for the people watching, or whatever. I think we're about at the end. I've run out of stuff. Does anyone have any last comments? No? John? Brian? Anyone? Nobody?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Nope. We're done. Okay, thanks everyone for tuning in. It was a bit, messy. Oh wait, that's wrong.
We need to plan this out better.
And there's like two of me. That's interesting. Look, there's two of me. Cause one of... Oh wow, and it's mirror too.
We should have done that from the beginning. To confuse people a bit.
Yeah, one of me isn't enough. Yeah, we should have planned this out better. But you know what happens when we plan stuff out? At least what happens when I plan stuff out? I would plan forever, and then I wind up doing nothing. So, we'll see everyone next time. Maybe it'll be up on YouTube. There'll be links. There'll be blog posts. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This was the Gamification Corner. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye. Say bye, guys.
Bye bye.